A little late, but on.
Yeah, here we are, folks.
Who are we?
Well, I'm Wild Bob. That's my partner Ronnie over here, and we're coming to you from Lafayette, Tennessee, US of A, right here in Campbell County. And we're just tickled to death to be maybe a little bit late, but we're just tickled to death to be here with you.
Well, I started early, and I'm still going.
Why?
Start early and work late.
I'm just redoing my things. Yeah, you know, a lot of things happening during the week, but one thing really just dominated the news all week long was the trial they had down in Sanford, Florida, regarding the shooting of this boy by...
Don't say boy, that's racist. Young man.
He's a young man, yeah. He's 17 years old, 6'2" tall, about 185 pounds, football player. And of course now, this is one thing I wanted to say. The media never portrayed him as he really was. They showed all these pictures when he was 12 and 13 years old. He looked so angelic, you know, and looked like a little cherub. That you would see in a church mural. They never portrayed him, and I'm not trying to besmirch this boy. I lost a son, so I know what it is to have one of your children to precede you in death. They say that's one of the worst things you can happen to you, is to outlive your children. And I remember the tears that came in my dad's eyes. He was about 90 years old, and he said, "That's my Christmas baby." He had a daughter that died that was born on Christmas Day. And they said, like I say, they said it's one of the worst things that can happen to you is to outlive your children. Well, I outlived one of mine, and I can fully attest that that's a bad situation. So I'm not trying to besmirch this young man. I'm just trying to maybe set the record a little bit straighter than what it has been set by the mainstream media, by NBC, ABC, CBS, probably, what is it, the one that Ted Turner started?
CNN?
CNN, Continuous News Network. And this boy happened to be staying up there with his dad. He ordinarily lived with his mother in another city, but he had got kicked out of school for smoking pot and for fighting. And they have numerous accounts on his phone attesting to the fact that he told us he was a pretty good fighter. And if you looked at George Zimmerman's nose where he sucker punched him or landed the first blow, that would also attest to that fact. And then he was on top of Zimmerman and identified as being on top by someone that was completely impartial. So he was beating the Lord out of George Zimmerman and banging his head into the concrete. And you know, this was not a 7th grade picnic outing for anybody. And it's very, very tragic that it happened. Well, they tried to say that George Zimmerman was profiling his Trayvon Martin. The very cell phone calls at all attest to the fact that he was concerned that there was someone walking around the neighborhood with a hoodie over his head because they had right many break-ins by young black males there in that neighborhood. And not only if he was profiling Trayvon Martin was profiling him because he was talking on the cell phone, on his cell phone, calling him a cracker and everything else while he was walking along. So there was definitely some profiling going on, but I believe it was coming the other way. Now, I'm going to say something that probably, if anybody's listening, a lot of people will take exception to. I've been reared in the South all my life. in 1939, when I was just barely 5 years old, my mother and dad took a black kid into our household because he had nowhere else to live. And we took him in. He went to school every day. That's one thing my dad made sure everybody that was of school age went to school. We would all walk over to the end of the driveway, and he would get on the bus to the black school, and we get on the bus to the white school, and I always wondered why we couldn't go to school together. So I have never been prejudiced in that regard in my life. Well, make a long story short about that, his name was Alvis Burnett, B-U-R-N-E-T-T-E. And Alvis graduated from high school. My dad helped get him a job with the Southern Railway, where he worked for his entire career and retired from the Southern Railway. Shortly after retiring from the Southern Railway, he came down with Alzheimer's disease, and Alvis has since passed away. But Alvis had some brothers that remained with their parents, or with relatives. I don't think it was with parents. None of them accomplished what Alvis did. None of them graduated from high school. None of them ever had a job that they retired from. One of them died in a house fire where he was drunk, and the other one contracted some kind of disease and died at about age 35 or 40. So his two brothers passed on many years before Alvis did. But Alvis, like I said, graduated from high school, had a successful job career with the Southern Railway, and retired with them and drew a good pension.
How old was he? Or when did he graduate from high school?
Probably 43 or 44. Oh, no, 45, 46.
Well, there was just a very few people in this area, and I mean anything not in a major city, that graduated from high school during that time frame. So, I mean, that was an accomplishment for whatever color he might have been.
Right.
For that time.
Right. Well, of course.
And he probably had a better education than the college graduates now.
Oh, I'm sure of that, you know. And but Alvis went to school in North Carolina. He went to Sedalia, which was a black school. It is now a elementary school for the county. It's county elementary school now. But Sedalia is where the Palmer Memorial Institute is located. And the Palmer Memorial Institute was headed by Dr. Charlotte Hawkins Brown at that time, and it was a black girls' finishing school. And Dr. Charlotte Hawkins Brown was a relative of Chicken George from the book Roots, okay? And she is mentioned in that book by Alex Haley. Well, she ran the Palmer Memorial Institute, which was located right next door to the Sedalia Black School. And I believe I've mentioned before on here, I met Dr. Hawkins on many occasions in our home. And because during the Second World War, with no tires, no gas, no money, all the things that were shipped to the Palmer Memorial Institute came by rail. And it came to what they call the own hand department in Greensboro, North Carolina, which my daddy was the manager of that department. And he would call down to the Palmer Memorial Institute and talk to Ms. Brown, Dr. Brown, and tell her that he had several packages, which a lot of those girls were from up north, and their parents sent them all sorts of things, from furniture to clothing to food to everything else. Well, he would have packages, and he would take them over to our house, which we were located about 1.5 miles to 2 miles at the most from the Palmer Memorial Institute, as well as the black high school. And my dad would get off work like about 4:30, and Dr. Brown would come over. She'd be there when Dad got home, because my mother was a great conversationalist, And she always kept, by being farmers, we always had put plenty of stamps to buy coffee too. So we always had a big old coffee pot going. And Dr. Charlotte Hawkins Brown would sit there and drink coffee with my mother. I'd sit up beside her and listen to let her tell me all those great places that she had been to. She'd been to Paris, France, New York City. She was well-traveled, a well-educated person. And back then we had no television. Radio was by a 6-volt Philco radio that we had. And she'd tell me about all these grand and glorious places that she had been to. But I'm kind of getting away from my story about Alvis, who was raised in my dad and mother's house. And he was a black boy, okay? And so my mother, her grandmother was what is known as Black Dutch. Now, I'm not talking about Melungeon. There's a difference between Melungeons and Black Dutch, and you need to look up Black Dutch and you can find out a little bit about them. But in just a real quick synopsis of Black Dutch, they were located in Holland, and they lived together, you know, then they kind of like the Amish people. It was like a tribe of people. And they were very unusual. They migrated up from the Mediterranean area, finally settled in Holland, and they were Protestant. Their DNA testing would indicate that they originated somewhere south of Baghdad. So they really were, they were either Jewish or they were Arabs, one or the other. And my forefathers were on that side. And there's a great deal of speculation that the Black Dutch was one of the lost tribes of Israel. Now,
they said the same thing about the Melungeons,
huh?
too. They said the same thing about the Melungeons,
yeah, but they kind of intermingled. Actually, Black Dutch have been, Melungeon means mixed race.
Yeah, and the Melungeons, this area, Melungeon, traces back to Africa.
Right, yeah. All right, well now, I guess that south of Baghdad is in Africa too, isn't it?
It could be, depending on which way you go.
Yeah,
Well, you know, Egypt is North Africa.
Huh?
Egypt is the northern part of Africa,
right,
you know
yeah.
that. And the further down you go toward the Horn, the different, the facial characteristics and hair and all that changes, but they're all dark skin.
You know, supposedly anthropologists and everything have indicated that human life began in Africa. Okay? That's what they seem to be the general consensus of opinion. It may or may not be true.
May be true. Maybe the bones lasted longer. Maybe that the bones just lasted longer.
Well, yeah, it could be. Could be, because they're coming up with new discoveries all the time. But what I was getting at, you know, my DNA and everything is a multiplicity of different races.
Well, everybody else is too, whether they admit it or not.
I have an awful lot of Scotch-Irish blood in me. I got Cherokee on both sides of the family, and but now, what I'm going to say and what I'm going to get back to, I maintain that throughout this country there is far more racial hatred from the black people to the white people than there is from the white people to the black people. Now, they're worried about, so upset, the Reverend Al Sharpton is, that they would profile a black kid in a white neighborhood. Well, you got neighborhoods of black people in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Georgia. I would like for a white kid dressed in his tennis shoes and his appropriate white garb to try to walk through one of those neighborhoods.
Well, that profiling, first off, everybody profiles. You can't help but have an opinion. if you're driving down the road and you see two, three guys standing around with a car got a flat tire, I don't care what color they are, if they look like punks, you're just going to not see them. You're going to go on and not help them if you don't know anybody and you're not in a friendly area. If you go down the same road and you see a little old lady out there on a walker trying to figure out what she's going to do about her flat tire, and it looks like it ain't a setup, you'll probably stop. Now, you've profiled. Did you do wrong? You use a little common sense and judgment.
Self-preservation is what it amounts to.
Now, Trayvon Martin profiled Zimmerman.
George Zimmerman.
There ain't no question about that either. I mean, his girlfriend, the woman he's supposed to have been talking to, said that Zimmerman called him a crazy ice cracker. Well, he formed an opinion about that guy. He didn't say, let me see who this gentleman is. He may be up to no good. In fact, she kind of thought that Zimmerman might be a stalking, raging homosexual.
Right.
Which would mean that he profiled in a sexual connotation. Either way, you know you're going to profile. It may be that when you go get on an airplane and you're a little old lady, they're going to frisk you and let some guy go through with his rag on his head and let him pass because they don't want to be seen as stereotyping and profiling. But that's stupid. That's just absolutely stupid. Few little old ladies blow up airplanes. I'm not going to say there ain't some women that blow up airplanes if they get the chance. I mean, you can bet that they'll have them loaded up with explosives if they start flagging them through. But a little common sense is not a discriminatory action.
Well, what I was talking about, a black kid, if he goes to a white neighborhood, is profiled and looked on with suspicion. Mm-hmm. A white kid, if he goes through these black neighborhoods, is killed automatically. There ain't no question about it. I know my daughter had gotten some problems with her automobile down in Atlanta, Georgia, and you had all kinds of people told them, don't you walk from here to there. Mm-hmm. That you'll never make it through, and they had to go through a black section of the city. And so I maintain that there's more racial hatred, distrust, antagonism from the black community toward the whites than there is from the whites to the black. And I really believe the South is less racial than the North.
I think so too.
I think they're less racial than California. Where they're having riots and everything, they're stealing them some nice TVs and that sort of thing. I mean,
if I was going to carry something, it wouldn't be a big screen television.
Right, yeah. I maintain that Al Sharpton, I don't know whether you ever watched
he's the grand dragon of the black KKK, ain't he?
Right. You said you never did watch old Big Mouth Morton Downey, did you?
No, I never did have the opportunity.
Well, he had Al Sharpton on there one night, and Sharpton weighed about 300 pounds at the time. That's before he had the Al Roker operation, you know.
Yeah.
And, Al's not nearly as popular since he's got skinny as he was when he was fat. But had Al Sharpton on there, and they had Roy Williams, who was head of the Southern Christian Leadership Association. And Sharpton was making such outrageous statements, and of course Roy Williams then believed in a peaceful, nonviolent approach, that finally Roy Williams had all he could take of it. He went over and knocked Sharpton plumb out of his seat. Now, Roy Williams, I think, has passed on.
Roy Ennis.
Huh?
Roy Ennis. Roy Williams.
What?
Was it Roy Ennis or Roy Williams?
Roy who?
Ennis. What really happened?
Oh, yeah, Roy Ennis. That's who it was, yeah. Yeah, Roy Ennis. Yeah. Yeah, I saw the actual episode.
Here it is.
Yeah. And...
and Roy Ennis. Take a look at this.
That's Sharpton. Yeah. Knocked him flat. Yeah, he knocked him flat.
Yeah, pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was sitting watching that when it originally happened. Yeah, Roy Ennis, yeah.
Guys, I gotta ask you, any one of them where you know,
Well, somebody, where is Roy Ennis when we need him now? Somebody needs to knock him flat on his can right now because he is the biggest bigot, rabble rouser, troublemaker, liar, opportunist that I've ever seen.
Yes, that's what he is. He just sucks off of division. And the thing about it is, we have a black government right now.
Sure.
President, all his advisors,
Attorney General,
all that. To say that we won't let black people advance is horseshit, and it's happened, and that's fine. But we're more divided than we've ever been because they score more points through division than they do unification.
Sure. Well, also there's far more black people unemployed now under Obama than's ever been unemployed before.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Oh, that's all right, yeah.
Because they got food stamps and phones.
Right, there you go. As long as you got the phones, you're okay, you know. And well, I don't know what Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, either one, have ever done to deserve the title Reverend.
Well, I guess they got ordained.
Yeah, but I think that's something you ought to earn that title.
Well, they got appointed. They got,
I mean, what did Jesse Jackson do? He fathered a child out of wedlock. He had to pay $200,000 out of $200,000 at one whack out of the Rainbow Coalition to one of his ex-mistresses. Sharpton.
He fathered the son that embezzled the campaign fund.
Yeah.
$750,000.
Did. Ain't nothing. You got a little problem with Mr. Duncan over here in Knoxville right now, and his boy laying his hands on
they just think that they're
$60,000 that he didn't have no business fooling with. But Sharpton perpetrated the Tawana Brawley hoax. I don't know what all else he's done.
Well, he was the cause of a riot. They murdered a shop owner, burned his store up there.
Right.
A Jewish guy run the store, and he got everybody stirred up, and they went in there and killed that man and burned him out.
Yeah.
His fault.
He's caused several deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how in the world that would give anybody the right to be called Reverend.
Well, I don't know either, but the thing about it is, there are people that will do anything in order to advance themselves. You can see that politically around here in local office, all the way from the mayor's office to the governor.
Right. That's exactly what Sharpton, that bunch did. You know, they will mislead, misdirect the poor people of this country that are looking to them for honest leadership. Now here's the thing, they get all riled up about Trayvon Martin getting killed. From the time that Trayvon Martin was killed till today, there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 or 600 black kids killed in Chicago. Now, these kids, they have no name. They have nobody worrying about them. I don't know whether anybody on any of those crimes have been brought to justice or whether they even try to. In other words, it's just another one dead. almost 92% of all the black deaths in this country are caused by black people.
Well, you see a lot of jealousy toward the Jews. You see increasingly more jealousy toward the Asians, Vietnamese, Chinese, that immigrate here, because those two groups, the Jews have traditionally excelled at everything. They honor education the same way here in the South, the way we honor football players, they honor educated people. That's been a family tradition since who knows, and that's why they get ahead. The Jews are not smarter. The Asians are not smarter. Black people are just as capable, and white people of all regions. I mean, you've got some people that are more intelligent, more talented than others, but it's not got anything to do with race. It has to do with the way that the culture you grow up in. You proved it with Elvis. You can take a black kid and put him in an Asian family, and he'll be a rocket scientist. And you can leave him in the ghetto, and he'd be dead at 21.
Right.
If he makes it that far. And
right.
It's the same as true of white people. You got white trash around here
sure.
that'll never amount to anything. As long as they got food stamps and maybe a pill or two, they're happy.
Sure. Yeah, you have that. That's very prevalent around here. That's just something that just burns me up. You have. I know one right now just getting out of jail. Social Services got his young'uns. He's supposed to have a job when he gets out of jail, I said, yeah, everybody gets out of jail. He's got Christianity plus a job. But I said, it don't last very long as soon as they hit the street.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's do a couple of commercials while you catch your breath, and let's tell them what a great place Napa is to buy auto parts.
It is that.
And I got to go up there and buy some auto parts. I got to buy me some tires too. We need a tire sponsor.
I'm gonna have to start using all them parts I bought up there. I got two. I got one thing for my truck and one thing for my motorhome that I got to put on. And
NAPA across from IGA up there across from what we call Old Woodson's.
Their parts ain't worth a darn if you don't use them.
But they'll last a long time if you put them on and treat them right.
Whether you use them or don't.
Well, we recommend Napa, and we also would like to mention that Dixie Concrete has a remarkable
562 9406.
9406, yeah, 56. That's Napa. 562 9406. And Dixie Concrete has a remarkably hard concrete.
And good looking concrete.
And it looks pretty when it's polished up. Go down to the Food City and look at the floor and you'll see what I mean. Dixie Concrete has got the hardest concrete known to man, and they've tested it right and left. I wonder what the cities are doing up yonder surveying.
I don't know, but did you know that they have recently been testing the concrete that the Romans used?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because there are seawalls and aqueducts and things that were built by the Romans that have far outlasted cement products in other parts
well, that's
of the
where Dixie got their recipe.
Well, I know. That's what I'm getting around to, that Dixie has rediscovered the recipe that the Romans used. You got the concrete bulwarks and bulkheads and everything that's a couple of thousand years old.
Dixie Concrete knows how to make it like a Roman does.
They do, sure do.
Now, there's
funny thing happened to me on the way to Dixie Concrete.
What was that?
Like the funny thing happened to me on the way to the farm, Funny thing happened to me on the way. I was cruising down through there.
That was Caesar doing
siren.
Yeah.
I heard a siren. Well, I didn't know whether it was one of the fire trucks coming from up on Tennessee Avenue to put out a radiator fire down at Walmart, or what it was, one coming from Jacksboro down here and going up to the Sonic to get a hamburger. I didn't know what kind of fire truck it was, but it wasn't a fire truck.
What was it?
It was an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And right on the back of it had vital care.
Oh, that's a good ride. If you got to have an ambulance ride, might well ride with the best.
Is that right? They were going to get somebody that wanted to see them in a hurry. And that's 562-9370.
Yeah, that's vital care.
That's vital care, tender loving care, good service. I mean, they had the siren on, but they wasn't driving reckless or crazy, you know. So that's a funny thing that happened to me on the way to Dixie.
You thought they was coming after you, didn't you?
I thought they was coming to take me away, ho-ho.
Yeah, they will. No, maybe not them, but them guys in them white jackets will get you.
One of these days, yeah. You know, but they probably just went right on. I don't know what in the world Digger was doing yesterday.
Well, yesterday was Monday. Yesterday was Monday. He's probably hauling them there.
But there was a crowd down there.
Oh, okay.
In his place.
He's open?
I don't know where he was open. I just a bunch of crowd around. One parked on the street over there, and a whole yard full of vehicles and everything around.
He may have been having one of them spaghetti dinners down there.
He could have been on his own, yeah.
562-5444 right in the middle of the road in Sawmill Holler if you need any good propane. I'm going to have to go down and get some before long.
48 flavors.
Maybe some more in the works.
Maybe.
Well, we've done them all, Bob. I guess we just have to talk some more. Anybody else you want to talk about?
Well, no, I'm still concerned about the racial division in this country. There's no point in it.
Well, it's time for the leaders. It's time for the leaders to say bad things have been done. We need to unite. We need to quit carrying this chip on our shoulder and see if we can't do something different. I mean,
well, I don't have a chip on my shoulder.
No, but they do.
Well, I know they do. And it is, they're invested in that, you know.
Yeah, that's the way they get their election done.
Right. So, you know, I've told you there's almost 92% of the time, if a black person is killed by another black person.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of my ancestors, the Indians. That's all they did was fight one another and kept one another so weak they couldn't even fight the British and the Americans, you know, because they kept themselves down so weak from fighting one another.
Well, they had the home court advantage, but there's one thing that the Indians didn't have that the invaders did.
Guns.
No, that wasn't what done it.
What was it?
Because them old blunderbusses was bad things, but a bow and arrow will actually shoot further than one of them suckers. I think that they lost their land because they didn't claim that land. They didn't claim that land. They weren't attached to property. They didn't believe you should own property. They didn't recognize most tribes anyway.
They were just like the hippies, you know, say everybody's got to be somewhere and we got to be here. But see, they had no system of recording land ownership.
Yeah, they didn't have any sense of property ownership. And that sounds good, community property, but it didn't work out real good for them. They went hungry most of the time because they didn't. Now, it's not true for all tribes, but generally speaking, it's true. Most of them, their whole livelihood depended on either one crop or one animal. The buffalo wiped out the Plains Indians when they slaughtered them, that and other stuff too. But they didn't recognize a piece of property as their own, so they didn't fight to hang on to it. The people that came in and took over came here for property, wanted that property, took that property, and then fought to keep it. That's the reason they beat the British.
That's true, but you know, a takeoff on that is, which is very much what you're saying, though, but a little bit different. I know in the eastern United States, the Creek Indians would rise up and push the Cherokee back. Okay. Yeah. Now they didn't lay claim to that land, but they used it.
Yeah,
and then the Cherokees would nurse their wounds and strong everything, they'd push the Creek Indians back. That's what I was saying. They're constantly fighting one another. The Sioux and everybody else was fighting one another except probably the Navajos, and anybody, they didn't have nothing nobody wanted to fight over, you know.
Had them pots.
Cactus.
Had pots and blankets.
Right, true. Mud huts.
Yeah.
But I think you're right about that. They just didn't have this sense of, this is mine and I'm going to keep it, you know. Well, there was always plenty of land else for them to go to. And, but the black people are not only killing one another, they are ruining their hopes for ever being a positive force in this world. Somebody's going to have to look after them and keep them up and house them and provide everything to them. If
as long as they follow the traditional pattern.
Get their education.
Yep.
Now there's a lot of black people who have good educations, who have good jobs, who are positive people. I don't want to take anything away from those. But you just think how many millions of people you got up in the cities in the north that probably, you know, they'll never hold a job or be productive in any way.
Well, I agree. We probably insulted enough people tonight, you reckon?
What?
We've probably insulted enough people, and that politically correct crowd out there really hate us, but you know, I don't care.
Well, that's true, you know, I came into this world not with a silver spoon in my mouth. My daddy had third grade education, had 8 young'uns, and my mother never worked. But we worked. And I want to say one thing, that black kid that was brought into my household was not, he was an asset to our family because he worked with all of us. And back when I came along, more young'uns you had, the better off you were. Because you had more workers out in the field. And it's not that way now. Nowadays, you know, you can't work you youngers like they did me. It never hurt me for them to work me, and they worked the Lord out of me. It never hurt me one bit.
Toughened you up for old age, didn't it?
Huh?
Toughened you up for old age.
Said that right. I guarantee you, the one thing I didn't ever want my dad to know was that I was bored and didn't have nothing to do.
Well, now, I'll tell you what, you can't hire one of my youngins to say they're bored.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never will forget, he got real generous one time. He don't give me $5 a bushel to shuck some corn. And I told him I couldn't do it for that little, so he made me do it for nothing.
Now what?
You're going to pay me $5 a bushel to shuck corn?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I couldn't do it for $5 a bushel, so he made me do it for nothing.
$5 a bushel is pretty good money.
That's good money, yeah.
Was it already pulled and in the crib?
Oh, it was shocked. You had to pull it off the shock.
Well, that takes a little longer.
Yeah, it takes a little longer. $5 a bushel. I mean, 5 cents a bushel.
Oh.
5 cents
now,
a bushel. What did I say? 5 cents a bushel.
I was going to say that. I'd take that job today.
5 cents, excuse me. I didn't mean that. 5 cents a bushel.
Okay.
So
well, that's about like $5 back then.
Didn't want to do it 5 cents a bushel. I could do it for nothing. So you better have it shucked when I get home.
You can, back then, you could hire men to work on a farm all day for 50 cents, and that's daylight after dark. Of course, you fed him.
Yeah, you had to feed him.
One meal.
Huh?
One meal and all the water he drank.
Yeah. True. I've been there. I've seen that. Bothered me one bit. I feel so sorry for these kids. They've got nothing to do, don't know how to do nothing, and will never know how to do anything.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But that's the way it goes sometimes, you know. The cookie crumbles different ways, and I don't especially like the way the cookie is crumbling right now.
No, I don't care much for it either.
But folks, I will say, if you come on down to Bob's Emporium, I've got washers, dryers, cook stoves, dishwashers. I've got refrigerators. I've got all kind of baby items. I've got dressers, and I've got chest of drawers.
Chest of drawers.
Yeah, and I've got all sorts of things that you can use, and I've got them at a good price. And I've got new chest of drawers coming in tomorrow. It's going to be real, real pretty. And I had the prettiest dresser and chest of drawers yesterday. It was made out of American wild cherry, and it was made in 1951 because it had a 1-year guarantee on it from 1951 to 1952.
To not do what?
Huh?
To not what? Not
1951 to
not
1952.
fade, shrink, or rip at the
There's,
edge.
oh no, material or workmanship was guaranteed. And it was pretty, and I didn't really mean to hurt this woman's feelings, but I told her what I wanted for it, and she said that was too much, and she left. And while she was gone, I said, well, I'm going to go up with it $100 on it, because I probably had it priced $100 too cheap. Well, here she come back, you know, to get it at the price that I had quoted her. And she got some kind of upset when I told her I had to charge her tax on it. She said, you don't pay no tax. I said, I wished I didn't. I said, I pay my taxes quarterly, and I have to pay tax on what I sell here. I said, the only thing that's exempt from taxes is used clothing and a few other items that you can sell. And, I said, look, I said, you go down to Walmart, you don't have any problem paying the tax, do you? I said, you ever argue with them over paying the tax? I said, well, I have to pay my taxes just like. She finally paid it, and it would come to $137.50, something like that. And she gave me $40, and I didn't have any change. I tried to give her $5 back. Well, she was wanting to argue with me. She thought she ought to have more than $5 back. I said, well, let's just start over again. Give me $140. I said, here's $140. You owe me $137.50. I said, and I had change in my pocket. I said, here's your $2.50 I owe you. I said, you wouldn't let me give you $5.
What'd she say then?
Well, finally got through to her when she wound up with $2.50 rather than $5, you know. And but I was trying to be good to her. I didn't have anything but some silver. I didn't have any ones, and but she was all upset because, well, I didn't know anybody had to pay tax on this stuff like this. I said, what do you think makes this state run? I said, you don't have any income tax. I said, it's sales tax. I said, that's what this state exists off of. And we have, what, the second highest sales tax in the United States?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that as an income tax.
Oh, I would do, yeah.
Because
I
people
don't
like
know,
her
of course,
have
I
to
ain't
pay
got no income, you know. But I appreciate your business, honey, and I really do, and I'm sorry if you got upset, but I do have to pay tax on the items I sell, unless it's a tax-exempt item. And I don't like it any better than you do, because what I have to collect, I have to pay into the state, which in turn sends so much of it back to La Follette, so much of it back to Campbell County.
And then our politicians find a good use for it.
Yeah, our politicians find good, but you know, I've been talking about our finance department. They don't even have a listing as to how much money is paid into that department. You know, they send those figures down to the state, but the state, they can't tell how much money that finance department actually got.
They can dig more holes to pour money in, like the Campbell County Park, like the incubator, like the animal shelter. They dig all these holes to put money in, and they run it till they just can't get more money to put down it, and then they can't
Then
figure
they
out what's
can't
going on.
provide the essential services that they're supposed
Yeah,
to
well, they
provide.
close that down. Well, I have figured out a way. I'm hoping to have it worked out tomorrow night, how that Dennis Potter can get enough money to pave the roads,
Okay.
and how I won't have to pay any property taxes.
Okay.
And I'm going to have the numbers and stuff to back it up tomorrow night, and I'm going to reveal that secret,
Right,
and we'll
okay.
all go down to
Good. Be
Jacksboro
sure
if we
and
want
tune
to.
in tomorrow night.
If we can get everybody to go down to Jacksboro and get the county commission to go along with this, we will have the finest roads in the state.
We need roads.
And it won't cost us nothing. It'll be free to us. Yes, sir.
No tax increase.
No tax increase. No.
No sales tax increase.
No sales tax increase.
Good. What I'm looking at, wonder if maybe I was trying to get the bank to open up a checking account for me where I would not run out of money before I run out of checks.
Well, now, I remember one time this woman had her a brand new checkbook and was wanting to give me a check for something, and I didn't much want her check.
Right.
Well, I got plenty of money. See, look, I still got checks. I'm supposed to prove something to me. That's the same woman who wanted to pawn me a pig one time. Don't ever take livestock and pawn,
Right, yeah.
especially a pig.
Right.
You get fattened up and make a hog out of it, and they come and give you $10 back.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of people that come down here and they'll sell me something. I'll buy it real cheap, you know, which I have to sell and make some money. And one of their friends will find out that they sold me something real cheap. And they'll come down there and say, did you know he stole that from me? You know, I want to give you what money you got back for it. I said, no, I'll tell you what you do. You go down to Jacksboro and take out a warrant for him for stealing from you. Broke me from doing that real quick. Well, how much longer we got?
We can quit anytime you want to. We've actually got about 13 minutes, but we can quit anytime we want to. It's our show. If you're talked out, we'll just hang it up.
How about talked out?
I'm glad. I'm listening out.
How about everybody else is glad?
Folks, if you need any building material, lumber, doors, windows, roofing, linoleum, come see me. If you need any furniture, go see Bob. Of course, I got a truckload of furniture out there, too. Happy trails, folks. See you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night on TV
place.
as well as here on the
The Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West, the World Wide Web.
See you, folks.